So yeah, I've been telling the guys about you. We've already got some questions like where you're from. Um, so I told that you're from England, currently based in Spain, right?
Yep.
Okay, and I've started talking about your teaching experience, but I guess I'll just um, ask you to do it yourself. So
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
could you just say a couple of words about your teaching background and experience?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like many native speakers 10 years ago, and I had finished university, and I thought, oh, I'd love to, the job market was terrible. I couldn't get a job. I didn't know what to do. And I thought, oh, I know an easy way to travel as a native speaker is to kind of travel, and I'll do this thing. What is this thing? This English teaching, okay, whatever, fine. And it was a great excuse to travel and see a bit of the world. And I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with being in the classroom with students and learning about their challenges and realizing, oh, there's so much to language. And so I thought, okay, right, okay, I actually quite enjoy this. I've managed to travel a little bit, and I thought, okay, I should do this more professionally. So I saved up, and for those of you who don't know, Marks and Spencer is a wonderful supermarket in the United Kingdom, and I had to work there for a couple of years and save up the money, and I got my CELTA, okay, alongside doing my physics degree. And then from that point on, after getting my CELTA from Frankfurt in Germany, I just haven't looked back. It's been about 10 years now, and that's how I got started. It was just a great way to travel.
So it's been 10 years since you did your CELTA course.
It's about 10 years since I started teaching, and I think it's almost 10 years. I got my CELTA in 2014 now, which is crazy to think that, oh my God, that is almost 10 years.
Right, yeah.
It seems
how
like
was
yesterday,
that experience? Because, many students, many Russian teachers, they are really interested in CELTA, and we, it's maybe not that popular among school teachers. I mean that probably not all the school teachers know about CELTA or TSOL. Yeah, these like Trinity TESOL certificates and courses and so on. But those who are interested in self-development and professional development, of course, they know this CELTA or TESOL, and I get quite a lot of questions about whether it's worth it. Should I do it? Should I take it? So, what's your take on that? Was this course, was this experience beneficial for you as a teacher?
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for having done the CELTA, I wouldn't be where I am now, I think the kind of network that Cambridge University has, Cambridge English, sorry, around the world, like it just opens doors for you, okay, especially in like the private sector. Any school kind of worth its salt is going to ask for this kind of qualification. And it's that first step, to get on the career ladder, and also just so well done. It's such a great course to actually take, but like anything, it's just that first step. So it's at the same time, people are very intimidated by it. When you read online, like, oh my gosh, it was the most stressful month of my life and things. And I think just as long as you're interested in it, there are some fantastic schools out there, and it's just made all of the difference. It gave me the confidence to, go into the classroom, to have this toolkit, that you will always go on to develop further as you continue in your career. It just gives you that toolbox to really feel confident to go into any situation, any classroom, and just to start teaching and enjoying that
it gives
process.
You this framework, and terminology and framework, and the questions that you should ask yourself, like, why am I doing this in the classroom? Why do I need this task in my lesson, and so on. And as you said, that it sounds pretty intimidating for some teachers, who are like on just starting their teaching path, because it's a lot of work to do, and the scope yeah, of reading and practicing and stuff is pretty, I don't know, I wouldn't say daunting, but impressive, right? And we even, at our school, we even had a preparation for CELTA course, you know, like a course to prepare for CELTA run by Ashley. By the way, yeah, Ashley is our friend and colleague. So yeah, Adam knows her well.
Yeah.
Right, and so I mean that even those teachers who are thinking about taking CELTA or TSOL and so on, they want to get prepared beforehand, yeah, and they want to like get a grasp of some basic things even before starting the course itself. And on top of that, CELTA is now unavailable in our country, but there are ways, and I know a lot of people who go and, I don't know, do it online or do it in somewhere else, and many people are planning to, so it's a good idea, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Right, so methodology, that's our topic for today, right? And how can we describe it? Yeah, what we are doing here and what we have already done. So you have just finished a course. It's a kind of small course in methodology, and you had 9 sessions with a group. And the topics included something like popular methodology, planning, meaning planning the lesson, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So teaching vocabulary, teaching grammar, teaching like receptive skills, and providing feedback and correction techniques. And so these are the separate topics for these.
Yeah. And it's the kind of the course is designed really to kind of orientate people with the topics that we've included, just because we talk about this in our speaking clubs, etc. We often talk about technology, don't we? And you can go onto the internet and you can search, English lesson plan for whatever topic, and you are, drowning in ideas. And sometimes, however, the downside of this is that it includes so much terminology, so much, so many terms, so many acronyms. And so I guess overall, in the different parts of the course, the modules that we selected for the course, it was to give that foundation, so that it's like having to learn a new language, so to speak, So giving you that foundation, the language of English language teaching, because I remember for so long just being confused by a lot of these terms, like, what is a methodology? What is communicative? I know it's good. I know communicative language teaching is good, but what on earth is it? And it's these kinds of questions that we aimed to kind of answer as part of the course.
Right. And when some experienced teachers, when they give some advice probably to their colleagues, they say, oh, you can just try some, I don't know, CCQ in here. Yeah. And
exactly. Like, what's a CCQ? What's an ICQ?
Yeah. Don't you want to try, I don't know, TTT with this topic?
Exactly. Right. And just by getting your head around a lot of the terminology is like half the battle, and it's that the idea as well of the course is just to actually be with other people and to share and struggle through these terms together, because some of them are more complex ideas. So that's another great benefit of this, being with other people and being able to talk about it together.
I have a couple of questions for you here, and we already have a question when the course is available. So we will have 2 groups and 2 courses with 2 different sets of topics, starting from the next week. So guys, please follow our, our news, or check it out on our website, or just text us, text us in the private messages, DM us, and I'll tell you everything.
Please do.
Please do, right. And so here, speaking about this first stage, yeah, the first course that you have
Yeah.
just completed with your group. So 9 topics, 9 sessions, 90 minutes each session
Yeah.
in a group. As for the topics are kind of basic knowledge about the lesson planning, about this terminology, about this communicative approach, yeah. And so it was, I get it. I guess it was mostly borrowed from CELTA, right? And similar.
Yeah, so like it's like a lot of CELTA content is based on that, as my experience as a CELTA trained teacher. And again, a lot of materials that you find online, whether it's CELTA or not, are going to kind of talk about these things, you know. So it's just to give that orientation, this first module, just to kind of, you know, get yourself seated and placed, and with get a few of those tools in your toolbox to actually start experimenting and working on improving your classes.
I have one more question. Why group? So as you said, okay, you can just Google it, yeah, and Google like how to plan an English lesson.
Yeah.
So why course and why group?
Yeah. So I mean, I think to have it a course in this formal structure is well, first and foremost, I would say that, you know, I am leading the course, but by no means do I know everything under the sun about language teaching, you know. That journey is continuous. And so as someone who's been through the process myself, I know that I have learned so much from other teachers, you know. I've learned, you know, a lot of the games, activities, you know, it's not like I'm some genius who invented them. No, I know a lot about the theory and the skills that are needed, but I learned so much from other teachers. And I think, to your question as why a group, well, I think that is it, you know, community, being able just to be in a safe space where you can talk to other teachers on this topic and you're on the journey together. You can share ideas, bounce ideas off each other, clear up certain doubts, you know, and that's what we're here for. We're here to learn and to help each other. So, you know, it's a great opportunity, instead of being in that school in the classroom and the teacher might ask, you know, whoever's in charge, like, okay, we're going to be having an observation, you know, and I need 5 aims for your class. Oh my God, what's an aim? How do I write an aim? No, well, this is the kind of course with other people to ask those questions. You know, how do I write? Why am I teaching this class? You know, as part of it. And so just to have that, have it in a course structure helps to organize all of this information you can find out there, and that we've really thought carefully on the order to present things to make it as clear as possible, to help you go through that process. And ideally, you know, at the end of the course, a student, especially this first course, a student would be able to go and then read up on, okay, so here is an idea. Okay, well, I know what that means now. I'm familiar with the terminology. Okay, all right, well, the aim of my lesson, now I know how to write an effective aim, is going to be, you know,
so they can
fluency.
delve deeper, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is just that first step, you know, with talking about other groups that will then later on develop and continue this idea of like these workshops. Yeah, and it's an exciting kind of place to be when you're in this community, working together, learning new things, and questioning.
So I have a question then. So what kind of teacher can benefit from the course? Because, you know, we have this like full range from very experienced teachers and those who are familiar with CPD and they have already done several courses and so on. And we have teachers who have a lot of experience, actual, you know, practical working experience, but they don't know much about the communicative approach. Right?
Exactly.
And we have young and eager teachers who follow, some, I don't know, teacher bloggers or famous popular teacher bloggers. So they heard something about something, but they don't have the experience and they don't have the knowledge. So what kind of teacher student is your student?
It's, first and foremost, I think it's not necessarily about like experience. Obviously, if you've already got your CELTA or a similar qualification, you're going to know a lot of the terminology, and yet you still might get new ideas for activities. etc. But one of the biggest things, and that I was told when I was starting and to do my CELTA, is that just because you're an experienced teacher, does I automatically know. It's a completely different culture and way of putting across information. And so sometimes later on in the CELTA, for example, some of the people who had the most experience in British schools teaching, etc., they were some of the students who actually found the CELTA almost the hardest, because you learn in your culture of schooling in your particular country. And so we're trying to break some of these boundaries down in the communicative approach and show that there is an alternative and quite new ways to teach languages. So I wouldn't be intimidated by the fact that maybe you don't already have teaching experience. But equally, if you have teaching experience already, it would be great to have you along on the course, because sometimes it's good to have those challenges and to be challenged. Like I said, I am not the god of language teaching. There are many experts out there. Not yet. I don't have that power yet. Okay. It's interesting to have those conversations with students who, I've been challenged in these classes, and I find that find that engaging for myself. Okay, well, I'm telling them this. How strongly do I feel about this? And I'm very confident in this communicative approach and the way we do things. And don't forget this. Even now, if we were to cover it briefly, the communicative approach is this huge kind of umbrella term now that branches off into all kinds of different methodologies and approaches. So the term itself is complicated to define, but it's a totally different way of teaching. It's quite exciting because it's not very, very teacher-centered, and for many cultures, we have this idea, well, I am the teacher, I am the person with the knowledge, and you are the student, and I'm going to pass this knowledge on to you, like Plato or, the philosophers of old. But actually putting the students in the center of the classroom, it makes us feel, well, I haven't said anything for 5 minutes.
That's
I'm lazy, am I doing, and it can be quite shocking. So in summary, it's kind of open to all kinds of people, whether they already have had teaching experience in, say, Russian public schools or wherever you're from, or if it's just something you're thinking about getting into, that something you would like to do in the future.
So speaking about approaches, I guess you've already learned something about your students about this, Russian teachers from schools, from language centers, language schools, and so on. What can you say about your teacher students that you've worked with? So what are our, I don't know, maybe we share some common features in terms of approaches. Maybe we lack some knowledge, or maybe we're strong in some points. So
I think, all the students were absolutely lovely. Hello, ladies. I don't know if any of them will see this, but you're absolutely wonderful students and really passionate. And actually, I definitely had to run to my grammar books after a couple of classes, because some of the Russian students that I had, teacher trainers, their grammar was incredible. A lot of the meta language, etc. But I think a lot of the areas that were new for them were these more I don't want to say modern, because some of them aren't necessarily, but this different way of the teacher's role in the classroom. Okay, the way that you behave, your role is very different, and some of them I think had come from more of a traditional sense, like what I've just kind of discussed a little bit about, them being you are the leader of the classroom, you are in charge, and it's your responsibility to be talking all the time and to give all of the information.
When you hear about this teacher talking time, you say, what? I should keep quiet for most of the lesson, really.
And it can be difficult to kind of break out of these traditional roles that you've had, when we discuss grammar translation, in the course, you know, and that actually this is something where a lot of modern methodologies came from, but it's something not done so much now. And then some of the teachers say, yeah, but we still do that in our schools now. It's like, okay, well, we have some new things to learn, you know, some new techniques to kind of cover.
Yeah, so we can challenge it and question it, right?
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's interesting, even within like the ELT world, like things cycle round, you know, and it's like, well, you must never ever speak, you must only speak English all of the time, forever and ever. Whereas actually, you know, sometimes it is interesting to dip into your native language as a comparison, you know, like let's compare, you know, how is this verb used in Russian compared to English? Is it used in the same way? In what context? You know, so a lot of these kind of methodologies, it's always like, yeah, there are certain levels of like popularity and things that kind of come back around and things that are in vogue.
Yeah, and probably because, you know, SELT implies that you need to be able to do it. I mean, to do teaching in any part of the world with any students, yeah, with mixed groups and so on. But when you have like more of a homogeneous classroom, yeah, with L1 speakers with the same language, right? So
yeah,
it's
and exactly. And if my Russian is very rudimentary, as you know, again, I'm just trying to learn the odd phrase. So, but yeah, and that's it. If you're in that classroom where everyone shares a language and the teacher knows it, well, it can be a really useful tool. And so I just say that to make this point that, you know, things come around and ideas are constantly evolving and changing. And I think that's one of the things that makes this kind of job pretty exciting and interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in a nutshell, you have already learned about Russian teacher trainees that they know much about grammar. Yeah, so we know this terminology like, oh, this is non-domain relative clause, this is something else, and so on. Yeah. But at the same time, we have this kind of strong background of grammar translation methods, and not that much exposed to communicative approach, to lexical approach, and so on, which is also, speaking of lexical approach, it's pretty much in demand right now. And
absolutely. And it's interesting that, you know, we focus, a lot of the students focus so much on grammar, whereas even you know, like Hugh Della says, for example, you know, like, okay, this, we can break it down and take a look at the grammar, okay, but does it matter? You know, if it's something we say this, you know, for example, like, let's go to the pub, all right, we're looking there more at the function. The function of that is to invite your friends in the moment. You know, we're not going to spend necessarily a huge amount of time like, okay, well, it's let plus us, and it's the future form to make suggestions. You know, it's this idea with the lexical approach, for example, is just these chunks of language and important, useful phrases that we kind of use on a daily basis.
And I know that you've included a session on lexical approach into these second part, like the second, we were thinking what to call it, like, okay, let's call them modules. So you've already done the first module of 9 sessions. Now it's going to be the second module with new topics. We
definitely need to work on a catchy topic, because it's like it's just kind of like a continuous series of workshops, you know, where you can dip in and dip out to each module that we're calling it, but you still benefit, from
some sets, of these workshops.
Exactly.
Package 1, package 2, and so the second one will include lexical approach, task-based learning, also a big thing. Some different kinds of lessons, like I guess you've talked about these PPP lessons in the first one, like this presentation, production, and so on.
Exactly. Not to be, so I mean, there's like an approach or a framework, not to be mixed up with the methodology as well.
Right, and so here you will have some sessions on different kinds of lessons, like this lesson frameworks like test, teach, test, and guided discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And also planning a sequence of lessons. Yeah, that's also important when you make these, I don't know, tailored lessons for your students. Yeah, probably not based on the textbook, but something when you work with authentic materials, right?
Exactly. It's just to give that people an idea of like this broader structure, because I think when you're a newer teacher as well and you've been given this textbook and you're kind of in the middle of it and it's like, oh my gosh, what on earth am I doing? But it's to give you that overall view of like where you're going and where you've come from, and to put it together as to a large piece of work, I think can be really important to make us feel more confident in the classroom.
Yeah. And I guess like every topic that we have just mentioned, it can be developed and elaborated on, right? And so you can just delve deeper in it and have not just one session,
exactly,
but a whole series.
I mean, I remember when I worked in a private academy, and we would have organized workshops for teachers to go to, and sometimes you'd think, oh God, we're doing this again with this topic. We did that like last month. But without fail, every time you come out with something new, like a new perspective or a new game or a new idea, so, I'm gonna steal that. That's like the number one phrase usually. So, with these courses, we hope you just come along and steal as many ideas as much as possible, just for your own classrooms, and because there's always new things to kind of try.
Yeah, back to the benefits of working in a group, right? There's group
exactly
dynamics and
and one of those things is kind of, actually I tried this one activity and it was a disaster. That is part of growth as well as a teacher. And so I think being in a course like this, like I said earlier, is just that kind of safe environment where you can admit this to each other, and well, I had this lesson on this topic and I wanted to try this activity and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Well, we can actually work on that together.
Mm-hmm. And what about the structure of the session? So do they include some, I don't know, lecturing from you, practical tasks?
You only get to lecturing if you're in trouble. No, but we like to kind of have in the class more of an input session. Okay, especially if it's a methodology, for example, we'll probably start off with a little bit of like a demonstration, like what am I actually talking about? Okay, here is an example of the beginning of a PPP framework lesson, okay, or a grammar from a text lesson, for example. And then we like to break down those ideas and have a lot of discussion. The classes themselves are run, well, it's an English class, communicative approach, but we're just dealing with, a slightly different topic as well. So lots of discussion and lots of opportunities to practice and try these things yourself, either discussing the topics in more detail, or for homeworks, for example, putting together a small lesson plan, or, here's how I would try and work on this activity based on this methodology, so it's not going to be an extra job. It's going to be up to the students to kind of, but you will get out what you put in.
Mm-hmm. So this and something that they can try out like straight away and implement.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be, if you are already a teacher, that would be the ideal. Okay, so I tried this approach, and hey, maybe it will be, and hope it will be a huge success. But okay, this was good. This part wasn't so good, and let's talk about it. Let's improve upon it.
And so the trainees, they can get back to you, or just bring it back to your chat or to the classroom, just and discuss it with you and with the peers. Like I've tried.
Yeah, we'll have a shared platform with forums where students will be able to just say, look, I tried this. Here's an article I found. I like to post in articles or interesting resources just to have it there for us to discuss as a class. And that will be kind of, extra material, just to give teachers an opportunity to be like, okay, this is interesting, and to discuss, hopefully you can tell that I'm passionate about it myself, and I know you are, Eugenia, and we spend a lot of time just asking each other questions via Telegram or whatever about like this activity or this bit of grammar. You know, we're passionate people, and yes, I'm happy to kind of share that out and get people excited about this job as well.
Right. Yeah, I know. That's what I tell everyone. Like when we have a like meet up with my friends who are also teachers, like half of the time, at least half of the time, we talk about work, about classes, about students, about approaches, and so on.
I'm sure your partners absolutely love you for that as well. Your husband.
Right. Yeah, they are just sitting like, you know, aside, just in their phones, and we're just chatting about. Have you tried it? By the way, what questions do you get most often from teachers, from teacher trainees? Like, or what are their, I don't know, requests or things they struggle with, or things they want to learn?
There are just lots of questions about methodology. Like I've said earlier about the fact that there's a wealth of information out there, you know, and lots of people who are passionate, and like I said, the students are genuinely passionate. They've seen and read about these things, so it's like they want to take that buzzword or that concept and actually be able to get a grasp of it. So there's usually lots of questions like, you know, what is communicative approach, because it is a large kind of complex topic, you know. They often ask things like, well, which is the best methodology? Which is an interesting question because, you know, as you know, as an experienced teacher yourself, there is no perfect methodology. Otherwise, we wouldn't need this course, this class. We just say, here's the best methodology, off you go, you know. But it's, and that's quite big for students, you know, because they've read these buzzwords, they've read these concepts. Well, the lexical approach, well, okay, that must be it. The lexical approach is fantastic. But again, it's one of the tools in your toolbox that, depending on the culture you're teaching in, depending on your students, because that's the interesting thing. We talk about these methodologies, and earlier on, it sounded like I was maybe criticizing a little bit, say, the grammar translation method. But our students are a key factor of this as well, right? You know, the students like, why are you asking me for my opinion? You know, why are we not just translating this sentence into Russian or something like that? So, you know, again, it's that idea that the students themselves...
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. So, you know, we have these methodologies, and yeah, that is a question. Which is the best one? And we can never give a satisfying answer, unfortunately.
Anything in particular that your students were really surprised to learn about? For example, for me, I remember when I did my CELTA, it was not 10 years ago, but still pretty long ago. It was like this aha moment when I found out that you can actually put students in pairs and let them do the talking. It's so simple, like as simple as that. But for me, it was like a eureka moment. Like, oh, really? You can do that? Wow.
Yeah, the exciting things for teachers is just when we talk about these roles that the teacher can have. So, for example, you know, if you think about a classic classroom, it'll be like, question number 1, Eugenia, what's the answer? Then the next student, then the next student. But a simple change, and the teacher taking a different role and stepping back a little bit, and actually just letting the students discuss the answers together. It seems like something simple, but you're giving your students so many more opportunities to talk with each other, to communicate, to, you know, use so many little grammatical little tags, for example. Sorry, could you repeat that? Or are you sure that's the answer? Or, you know, this is just getting answers for an exercise with a little shift in the teacher's role can change to be such a beneficial and kind of useful exercise to use in the classroom. And I think a lot of teachers are shocked by this. If I'm not at the front of the classroom, if I'm not kind of giving out the knowledge in a very explicit manner, then surely the students aren't learning. Yeah, and it's just not the case.
Unconventional. It's seen as something pretty
exactly. The fact that you are going to be in the classroom and maybe you don't really talk for 10 minutes, that you are actually just a resource for the students as you monitor and move around the classroom or breakout rooms if you're teaching digitally. it's like revolutionary, you know.
Right. And
You know,
I
it either
believe many teachers, they ask about some practical, I don't know, something specific and practical, something they can steal and use straight away in their lessons, like, oh, could you recommend some sources or some activities, or with online learning, yeah, it's also has become a thing. There's some special, I don't know, resources and tools that you can use. Do you share any of them during the course?
my secrets. Yeah, no, no, absolutely not. I mean, like I said at the beginning, you know, most of the best ideas I got, and some ideas that I still use were back in like 2014 in Vietnam, when it's 5 minutes before the class. I'm like, has anybody got a warmer? Please help me. And getting tips from another teacher. And so, like, I think that's part of the one of the real benefits of this kind of profession, is that idea of community and getting practical ideas, things that are actionable, that you can actually use in your classes, you know, in the moment. Something we really like to do and share. So yeah, lots of practical ideas. And again, it depends on the students as well. Some teachers don't like some of my ideas, my games, I mean, but that's based on you. That's the joy of it as well. You as a teacher, you know, I know it's useful, I know it's good for kids, but I hate chants, you know, just chanting. I don't know. I'm just maybe too shy. But that's just me.
And keeping in
you
mind
know,
your students, right? Like your particular students, and you know what they like, what they don't like in this.
exactly. And sometimes, yeah, these kids, you know, and it's, yeah, you as a teacher, you are going to be the best contact to know what your students like, you know. Okay, well, you know, and it's just always the way that, you know, for every class you might have 20 ideas given to you, but actually, even if you just take away one of those, that can so drastically change the way you teach, your productivity, or the you know, the performance of a particular class. So yeah, lots of ideas and lots of sharing, because even other teachers and their experiences, other students, not just from myself, it's a great way to kind of bounce ideas off each other and come up with new ones and new activities.
Yeah, so it's never something universal, or, you know, this one-size-fits-all approach. Yeah, so you give a variety of tools, and the trainees are free to pick.
Yeah, it's so important. And you know, one of the modules is planning, for example, and actually, you know, one of the important sides of planning is planning to be adaptable, right? Because sometimes you walk into that classroom and in your head you've got this perfect plan for present continuous, and actually it turns out that the students' biggest takeaway was that they really enjoyed playing Scrabble and they've learned a couple of new words, you know. So just because we go into the classroom, exactly, you know, the students might leave happy, but the point I'm trying to make is that being able to go into the classroom and be ready for challenges and things you're not expecting is part of the skills as well that you need to work on.
And the more tools you have and the more knowledge you have, the more flexible you can be, right? Because you have all these things up your sleeve, and you know, okay, if something goes not as planned, I can draw something, you know, out of my sleeve.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, like, okay, well, I'm just going to take out of my toolbox for this class. Let's go. Let's try this activity that I know works well and that I've always enjoyed using. Yeah, absolutely. You can like chop and change.
Okay, one more question about the courses. So next week we'll start one course which will repeat this, like the topics from, let's call it, I don't know, module 1. However, so let's confirm it here for for those who are listening, that it doesn't matter like where you start, right? So you can start from this module 2 and then do module 1. It doesn't matter, right? So they can join module 1, they can join module 2, whichever suits them better
Yeah.
in terms of
Yeah.
schedule, probably, yeah, these time slots.
Yeah, whatever your schedule is, if you were to come into the second module, still need a more catchy name, you will still be able to get access to, say, like the other content from to take a look at, say, some of the, just to get to familiarize yourself. And we've had a little bit of a break of this course anyway, so I'm sure the other students will be getting a reminder of, okay, this is what we're looking at today. This is a methodology. Remember, a methodology is X, Y, Z. So it's just the idea of, each class being like a standalone workshop where you can come along and pick up new ideas, new techniques, and share your thoughts or worries or concerns about the topic with a group of fellow passionate teachers.
Okay, so let's imagine I'm a teacher who wants to take this course, and so if I already have like CELTA or TESOL, also probably I wouldn't learn many new things here, right? But anyway, we'll have an opportunity to share some ideas, maybe to see something from another perspective, right? And enjoy this community. But if I'm it doesn't matter, experienced or unexperienced teacher. For example, I graduated from some pedagogical university, and I myself was taught this grammar translation method, and I'm interested in communicative approach, but I don't know much about it. So I go to you, right? I'm your student. I'm your trainee.
Yeah.
What level of English should I have?
I think one of the things we would need, I would expect at least kind of like a C1 level.
So beta
just
high
because,
will be also enough.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And if there are some, all I mean is that a lot of the grammar, you just are going to need to be confident with that, so that if we come into the classroom and we do discuss, okay, we're going to be looking at this methodology, here's how I would put together the class for if it was based on a grammar lesson. Okay, the objective of the class is to work on our grammar. So just already having a good knowledge of a lot of the grammar topics is going to be the most essential.
Yeah, and besides, you'll be discussing all the things with, I'll be discussing all these things with my peers and with you in English, right? So I need to have like adequate language level.
Yeah, you need to have a good enough language level of English to be able to actually, discuss, maybe really support your ideas in English, okay, to give examples effectively, etc. Okay. But please, there is no pressure to be the perfect English speaker. Okay, I make mistakes in English all the time, and I honestly find a lot of spelling really difficult. Okay, in English, I'm gonna hold up my hands and.
Oh yeah, I guess
spelling has never been a strong point in my life.
Typing and online, because sometimes I type a word and think, okay, how do I spell it? I need to check. Okay, so B2 high, C1 ideally. Some experience doesn't really matter. Eager to learn. And I have missed out on this first module. Did I miss out so much? I mean, can I jump on this wagon, or is it just
yeah, you should.
Is it too late?
Come on in.
Yeah. Will I have this feeling that I've missed something and that I don't know some basics, or you'll be anyway addressing some questions and revising something?
Yeah, well, the modules don't necessarily, the parts of the course follow a logical order, but a lot of them are quite standalone on a very specific topic. So even if you've missed another part, it might help you to ask and get feedback and like, okay, where does this fit into like the overall like English language teaching world, but it's not necessarily missing out exactly, right? It's each lesson will be an individual unit that's going to help you from start to finish on a particular area of your teaching. Okay. So and it's this continuous cycle. Okay. So yeah, it's not a huge stress like this FOMO, you know, fear of missing out. You're like, oh my God, I can't do it because I've missed this. It's a continuous process. Okay.
Okay. Will I have to read much or do a lot of homework? I don't.
I mean, there will.
I'm very busy.
That's fine. No, I mean, there will be homework, which, like, you know, I expect to be done just because it is part of the process. Okay, you need to be able to put these things into practice on our forums, etc. But you know, I appreciate that teachers are super busy, especially, you know, in May time, summertime, with the end of the school year coming up. So it's definitely not hours and hours, okay? It's not like CELTA level, you must now prepare for me a 2,000-word essay on whatever. No, it's just like small practical homeworks, you know, okay, here is an exercise from a book that you might actually see in the classroom. Let's talk about it. What stages would you put together based on this methodology to kind of use this in class? Okay, it's just putting this idea out there, and then we can discuss it in next classes, in future classes.
What if I miss a class? What if I'm ill or I'm away? So what happens?
Okay, so what we do is we definitely make sure that all of the classes are recorded. Okay, and then the platform we use for the whiteboard is a great website called Miro.com, and you also have access to that whenever you want to take a look at the vocabulary to run through. So usually with the combination of the videos that we record, materials on our online platform that we where we share all of the materials, and then being able to access this board early enough to kind of work on your own, catch up a little bit. And I try my best, if people are missing, to kind of talk to the camera. So like, okay, if you're at home or if you're watching this later, you know, set your timer for 5 minutes. And then if students want to send work in to me, you know, after the fact, then of course, by all means, it's always a great chance to see some new perspectives and help people out. So it's not the end of the world to miss a class. We all get sick and we're all busy humans.
Okay. Yeah. What else? What else I wanted to ask? I guess that's pretty much it. I also have a question. Like, will I get any certificates? And I can answer this question like yes, yes, I will. So there will be a certificate that you have run, that you have done this the course. Will I have an access to the materials after the course is completed?
Yeah, once you've registered and you're on the platform, you'll just be registered there. Okay, and we'll be keeping that going for as long as we have internet, you know. So the materials will be there for you to use. And I guess another part of another benefit of the course is that we'll be making sure that you are aware of other websites and useful ones that I use a lot, and that many teachers use, to actually then to be, you know, after the course, be an independent teacher and like, okay, here's where I need to go for this kind of activity as well. So we provide a lot of materials and ideas and that discussion.
Do you recommend any books for me to read?
Yeah,
methodology.
Generally I try to. Yeah, and that's a great question because there is always more to learn. So yeah, definitely give book recommendations, just if people want to dive into these topics further. Okay, but again, it's useful to be kind of take a part in the course a little bit, just so at least you're not thrown off by a lot of the acronyms again, because there will always be many acronyms.
All right then. So I believe I have no more questions. Do you?
No. I think we've kind of covered everything. It's just going to be um, in a kind of an exciting place just to build community and have like a team. And I think it's something that's needed now. You know, when a lot more of us are working online. In a lot of cases, the old-fashioned teacher's room is dead. You know, when
Yeah.
so having this like online space that is also like your teacher's room where you can ask for advice and oh, I've got this one student and he's a pain in the bum. What can I do? Or this class they don't get. You know, it's nice. We're just trying to also build like a community and a exciting, happy English environment where we can kind of
Yeah.
learn from each other.
Because I remember that was like some of the most valuable takeaways from my soccer course were my friends who I made there, during the course. And yeah,
The
we
friends we
enjoyed.
made along the way.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And like in between the sessions, we would chat and go have lunch and talk about stuff. And that's something that we're missing out on, having online classes. But even online community is also, it can be like a real community of like-minded colleagues.
Yeah, it's part of the fun, you know. Teachers from all around the world and around the country and different perspectives and what's going on. I've learned so much about Russia over these past few months. I didn't have a clue. But yeah, so it's great for me too. I like to learn a lot.
Okay, then. Great. So we'll be looking forward to the start of these two courses. Yeah,
I'm really
with
excited to start.
Right. Yeah. Okay then. Great. Thank you. Thank you so
Well,
much. Nice
thank you
talking
so
to you.
much. Yeah, looking forward to the course starting and hopefully see some of the
Right.
guys who've been watching soon there. All right.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So just DM us, write to us. We'll answer all the questions. So yeah.
Uh,
Thank you. Bye.
Oksana, sorry, we're just ending. Never mind.
Yeah. It will be saved, I believe. So you'll be able to watch
Fantastic.
the recording. Yeah.
Even better. Hello, future Adam.
Okay. Bye bye.
All right. Well, take care.
Yeah. Take care. Bye.
Bye.